Hey everybody, Amy here with Garden Up, and today what I'm going to talk about is several different types of grasses that tend to be weeds in our gardens. I'm going to start out by saying I am not an expert on grass by any means. There is a lot to know about the Poaceae family, and I pretty much know weed grass, not weed grass. That's it. But I can tell you a little bit about some of these different varieties. So this one is the one I will start with. This guy here is either witchgrass or wild proso millet. I think it's witchgrass. Either way, it's definitely a panicum genus. So this one, it's very fuzzy along the stems. It's got new leaves born underneath the old leaves. It's got round, this isn't venation, when the leaf is wrapped around, rolled instead of folded. There's a word for that. And it's got little hairs along this joint right here. And again, there's a word for that, but I am not a grass expert, so I can't tell you all about that one. But this one, it has these really cool looking tufts of seeds up at the top. But it reproduces solely by seed. It does not reproduce by roots. And that's what's important to know when you're dealing with a grass in your garden. Does it reproduce by spreading roots, or does it reproduce by seed? And if it only reproduces by seed, like this one does, then really all you need to do is dig it up before it seeds. It's still a good idea to get the whole root, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. This is an annual grass, this particular one, and it has a very small root system in comparison to other grasses. So no big hairy deal here with this one. Just use your Horihori or trowel or shovel and dig up the root and you're done. Easy peasy. All right, so with this guy right here, I thought it was Kentucky bluegrass, but then I saw this seed head and realized this is not Kentucky blue. This is probably either a ryegrass or an oatgrass, and I'm honestly not sure which one. But again, what's important in the garden is not what specific variety of weed grass you have. A weed is a weed is a weed, and a grass is a grass is a grass. If it's not an intentional ornamental grass, then you probably don't want it in your flower bed. So dig it up and see what kind of a root system it has, and then you'll know what to do to deal with it. This guy has long creeping roots, which means you've got to get all these roots out in order to control it in the garden. This is what you're usually battling when you have grass in your garden, not this. This is unimportant. It's these roots. This is what you've got to dig up. And sometimes it takes several times digging it up to get it all. There's a little bit of that Japanese knotweed we've been fighting. This back corner has been an adventure, I will tell you what. Trying to get this under control has been a massive undertaking. And I think I said in a previous video, I almost did not buy the house because of this back corner. Because there was Japanese knotweed back here. And now, of course, there's all kinds of other roots because we've been digging. There's other weeds because we've been digging this up to get rid of the knotweed. And of course, that's been stirring up all kinds of other things. So whenever you're edging a bed that's next to grass, take a tool that can dig at least 6 inches down, because that's usually how deep grass roots go, is about 6 inches. And follow the edge of the bed to make sure you've got all of those roots. And that's how you're going to keep grass out of your flower beds, is by keeping those roots under control. This grass right here, this is probably Kentucky blue, which is out of the lawn. So Kentucky bluegrass spreads by little rhizomes, which are underground roots that have nodes all along. It's about every inch or so they have a node, and each node has the potential to grow a new cluster of green grass. It is an excellent grass for your lawn, for a lot of reasons. It's a beautiful shade of green. They don't really flower much, so you don't have the break in the monotony of texture that you want in your lawn, or most people want in their lawn. It's considered socially acceptable, okay, whatever. Anyway, but these little rhizomes, these little roots, creep into the garden and can become a very big problem because they're hard to get rid of. In this case, this bed was completely taken over by grass, mostly this variety. And we have dug it. I have lost track of how many times we've dug it, but the roots are going down over a foot. And because it's on a slope, it just makes it difficult to actually dig because it ends up eroding. But what we're doing today is we're digging as much as we can to get all of these roots out and gone for good so that we can plant and make it pretty. So this is a very common grass that grows all over the place. I'm honestly not even sure which one it is. I think it's rescue grass, but I could be really wrong on that one. It has a round stem. It has a really sharp collar with a little bit of a thing in there. Again, there's words for this, but have I mentioned I'm not an expert on Poaceae? There is a lot to know with this family, and I just don't really care. The bottom line for gardening is what kind of a root does it have? So if I dig into this, there might actually be a couple different types of grass here. This one has a really shallow root. These might be brand new seedlings of grass, and they might be an annual grass, like annual bluegrass, Poaceae annua, or they might be coming off of the rhizomes from this other grass, which that's my suspicion. So here's a rhizome coming off of this other cluster of grass, and if you have grass in your bed, this is what you have to worry about. You've got to get that rhizome out. So this stuff right here, that's what you've got to get, these roots. So if you're using a Horihori, what you do is you follow the rhizome until you get to either the edge of the bed or the end of the rhizome, which they can go for a while, can travel. Let's see if we can follow this one. Okay, there's part of it. That's almost 2 feet, but that wasn't the end. It's still going. I found the end. It has more growth on it. So this plant over here shot this root all the way over. We're going 3 feet, and this is what's coming up, is all this new growth. That's why this is so important. If you've got a grass with rhizomes, you've got to get the rhizomes out. There are also grasses that spread via stolons. And stolons are very similar to rhizomes, except they grow above the ground. So like creeping bent grass and Bermuda grass and several other types of grass will grow very similar to this, but this root structure actually stays above the ground. I really don't like those types of grasses at all because I think that they're a tripping hazard, like in the lawn and stuff, but they are really soft, so I can understand why people plant them. But they just creep everywhere, so they're not fun. But if you know what you're doing, they're actually quite easy to control because you can just run a tool along the edge of your bed and everything that's creeping in will come right up, grab it, cut it, and you're done. So, pros and cons. Plant the lawn grass that works for you and just keep it out of your flower beds. This guy here, again, I'm not positive on exactly which type of grass it is. It's either green bristle grass or a bristly foxtail, or it might be yellow or green foxtail. I'm not sure, but the genus of all of those varieties is Setaria, and it's very clear that it's a Setaria type grass. It has a little kind of soft little panicle of seeds, and it's got really soft leaves. They're not hairy or anything, but they're just very smooth. It's got round stems and a very sharply angled joint right there. But again, when you're dealing with the grass in the garden, what's on top is not what's important. What is underneath this thing? The Setaria grasses are also annuals. They only reproduce by seeds. And look at that, there's almost no roots under this thing. Easy peasy, no big deal. So I want to talk about what happens if you get a grass growing in a grass. And what I mean by grass is anything in either the Poaceae grass family or any other plant that is a monocot. And monocot means one cotyledon, which is one seed leaf. When a seed germinates, it always has either one or two seed leaves, and those are called cotyledons. And all single seed leaf plants are called monocots, because mono means one and cot means cotyledon. It's Latin, right? The other type of plants are called dicots, which means two cotyledons, and those are all of the most plants actually have two cotyledons. Okay, you've got everything with a leaf with veins that cross and zigzag and do all the other things. Those are all dicots. So say you have a nice blue fescue or a zebra grass or daylily or an iris or any kind of monocot with parallel veination. Okay, that's when the veins grow vertical parallel up the entire leaf. The only way to get this kind of weed grass out of those, if this creeps into that kind of a grass, is to dig up the whole thing and hopefully separate the weed grass out from the roots of your desirable grass. So we've been doing that a lot this year, so I have a lot of pictures here on a slideshow to show you. But if you get a weed grass in your irises, you might as well divide them anyway. You got to do that every 5 to 10 years or so. So dig up the irises, take the weed grass out, and what we've been doing is putting cardboard, digging about 6 inches down, and then putting cardboard down, and then sifting the dirt to make sure we get all of that grass root out, and putting the dirt back and replanting the irises. So the cardboard will stop any roots that are down below where we dug, and that'll last for at least a year or two. So theoretically, hopefully the roots that are under there will be dead by the time the cardboard composts and goes away. If you've got grass growing in a daylily, you can dig up the daylily and separate it out, but honestly, if it's a bad infestation, it's cheaper and more efficient to just go buy another daylily, unless it's some kind of prize winner or something. You might try to save it, but if you've got a Stella de Oro that's got grass in it, just go buy another one. If you've got big ornamental grass, like a zebra grass or Carl Forster or something like that, and you get this kind of weed grass growing into that, same thing. Unless it's a really special and near and dear to your heart type of a plant, just go buy another one. It'll be a lot easier than trying to get grass out of grass. Because the roots are very similar, but also because even if you try a chemical treatment like Grass B Gon, if you put Grass B Gon to kill this grass, but it's in another monocot, it'll kill the desirable one too. You cannot kill a grass that's growing in another grass, okay? And by grass, I mean any monocot. So that includes the lily family, that includes all of Poaceae and several other families that have one cotyledon, one seed leaf, and that grow parallel veination like this. So I think I've covered everything really important about getting grass out of your flower beds. The important thing to remember with grass is that they spread 3 ways: by seed, by rhizome, or by stolon. And as long as you know which it is, you should be able to control it fairly easily. Okay, I say that with a grain of salt. And you can tell which kind it is just by digging it up. Okay, so dig up the grass, you'll be able to tell what it is, and then you can deal with it from there. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to tell me by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe, and you'll get notifications if you hit the notification bell. I post every Friday for Flower Friday. I will be posting Weed Wednesday for the rest of this season. And if I haven't already, I'll be starting my Tool Tuesday series very soon. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those. And if you have an idea for a video that you'd like to see, make sure to comment below so I know what you'd like to see and I can maybe get a video done on it before the end of the year. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the garden.